could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Liam Brown. He is a business development coordinator at Esports. Hello, Liam. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Anna. Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Thank you. So let's start a conversation by diving into your journey of becoming the person you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
I've been a gamer since I was 8 years old, but I didn't realize that I could really be a part of the overall industry until very late in the game. So, for any of your listeners out there that haven't really discovered their passion, I discovered esports and gaming as an overall passion and a career in my senior year of university. Now, obviously, that's very late in the game. I changed my major multiple times. I didn't know what I really wanted to be when I grew up for the longest of times. And I found that I had a knack and a real passion for this late in the game with oddly enough, with a tech internship that I just had just to keep the lights on. And they were doing a big push into esports and supplying esports related products to my university. Now, I was getting in touch with a lot of gaming specific contacts at my university and the branch campuses of my university, as well as all the different gaming clubs, finding out who was taking care of esports. Was it the athletics department or the campus recreation department, right? And I was just going around and I found that I was not only passionate about this, but I really had it really brought me a lot of joy bringing people together. And in pursuit of bringing people together, that's how I really found this. Now, it is an industry that I found in the midst of COVID university, right? When everything like was migrating over to Zoom. And um, I found that that there was a esports organization located and headquartered in the city of Pittsburgh where I was studying. So I thought, wow, I'll put no, I don't recommend anybody do this. I put all my eggs into one basket. I only applied here. I was just like, this is the perfect thing, and if this goes through, I'm going to put everything forward, and I'm going to keep pushing. And lo and behold, it worked out in the end, and I was able to pursue a career in in the fastest growing competitive entertainment industry in the world. So that's a little bit of background. Of course, I mean we can go into greater detail, but that's kind of like gives it the rough edges of it.
Right. So for those who don't know what esports is, it's more like an industry of professional gaming, right? It's like a
Exactly.
competitive sport, but it's like in video gaming. Is that correct?
Exactly. It is the professional level of competitive gaming. And even if it's quote unquote not a real sport, or any of these arguments that people will utilize to kind of take away from its legitimacy, the main thing is it is competitive entertainment that people want to watch, that is accessible in multiple different forms, interactive and engaging in a bunch of different forms, and people are able to communicate with the figureheads on all sides of this and also get involved at any level. So it's accessible competitive entertainment that everybody can truly be a part of, and that's what's allowed us to grow. That's what has allowed us to consistently grow ever since early 2000s. Yeah, I think you put it perfectly.
Nice. And also, I would like to elaborate more on the connection between esports and health and wellness. I know this is the aspect that you're trying to kind of like fill the gap in
Mhm.
between, and how could that be beneficial for our own health, well-being, and mental health, I would say, because a lot of times people think about video gaming as something that is an addiction, or that
Yeah.
it destroys your life in a way. But how could that be something beneficial for your health?
Yeah, you bring up a lot of great points. And I think in the professional career of gaming, since a lot of these young athletes are in a younger demographic, I go back to Duga, and he won the Fortnite World Championships at the age of 16, right? And you see other younger athletes, their career might go from the age of 18 up into their mid 20s, but it might be shortened because of bad habits developed in the career that lead to burnout. And one of the best ways to defend against burnout, to develop a longevity in the career, and develop healthy habits that you can take to any career. Health and wellness habits need to be in place for this industry to even grow even further. Now, I'll give you a couple examples. Once when at the professional level of esports, you can see that teams and organizations are investing in dietitians, exercise coaches, instructors in order to increase the brain connectivity and the overall health and wellness of those players. Because if they do that, their performance in game skyrockets, right?
Mm,
And if you have them on a specific regiment of working out at this time, they're going to, okay, in the gym, but then they're going to be scrimmaging with each other in another organization or another team later that day. Then we're going to do match analysis and we're going to do preparatory meetings later. If you keep them on a regiment scheduling and constantly, that will increase the communication, and better allow them to develop skills that they can take to other careers. Because one thing people don't understand about esports is that what do you do after your professional career is done, right?
mm,
A lot of these guys will just take the skills that they learned in their overall professional career and port that over to high level corporate positions in tech, in endemic and non-endemic brands, because they share such a unique viewpoint and skill set. They'll take that over to content creation, branding, and they can take those skills to a lot of different occupations. But with the intervention of the health and wellness discussion, this will allow them to further extend their careers, and then also, again, in developing those healthy habits, they can take those to other career paths, right? And one of the things that I'm trying to get a lot of different brands involved with is I'm trying to bridge the gap between health and wellness brands and the overall discussion of gamers and esports overall, because these people are hanging out in a lot of the same circles, they're consuming a lot of the same media, right? And they're playing a lot of the same games together. So why there's hasn't been a single coordinated effort by a health and wellness brand or a gaming brand to go after this grassroots uh, population, this audience demographic, right? And that's one of the things that with the Knights, I'm really looking to change. Not a lot of esports organizations have that focus of health and wellness, and on the surface, gaming is something that is relatively unhealthy, right? You're sitting for long, it's sedentary. You're sitting there for long periods of time, you're staring at a screen, you're getting constant dopamine hits from achievements and high scores and this kind of things, which keeps you locked in, right? And one thing that I've stressed in previous podcasts and in previous discussions is the balance, right? The balance has to be there. um, so yeah, that's my long-winded way of kind of saying why the health and wellness and gaming kind of it should be more cohesive.
yeah, right. And also, what kind of practices that you have in your own daily routine that helps you to stay on track with your own mental and physical health to be that top performer while it comes to the competing in esports?
Yeah, so one of the things that I always go back to our old Rocket League coach, and I asked him that same question. I was like, how do you keep these guys? How do you develop the balance? Because not everybody has developed that. And he was just like, well, when I go over with them, we have a very set schedule, and I always make sure that time outdoors or time spent in the gym is a part of their schedule, so that they're getting away from their desk, or they're getting away from their the gaming device, whether they're gaming on PC or on console. They were on Rocket League, so they were primarily going on console. But he's just like, I make sure that the gym or outdoor time of some kind is in their schedule every day, right? And it starts with that small piece. It starts with the habit forming. That's what a lot of people don't understand. I'm not telling esports organizations, I'm like, look, we have to put them on hardcore competitive like soccer and football workouts right from day one. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the habit forming needs to be there. And I myself, I live close to my gym. I have a walking desk, which I'm not using right now because obviously we're talking, but I have a walking desk that I utilize whether I'm gaming or I'm working right here. I make sure that the food that I'm purchasing from the grocery store is is healthy in some way. And it's those small fixes that you can make in your day-to-day life that, in gaming and in esports, that messaging needs to be there for these people because, they're looking for convenience. They're looking for things that allow them to stay in the game, and that can lead them down the path of turning away from perhaps healthier foods or spending time outdoors or in the gym, right? And look, the audience demographic, gaming in and of itself right now is in the mainstream as far as a form of entertainment, I feel, but it's going to be getting that audience to and the stereotypes surrounding, oh, it's just a guy in his mom's basement and he's pounding junk food, and he's not going out at all. Now that has changed, but I would like to bring further positive change into the overall sphere with some of these healthier habits, that we're talking about today.
Yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned, you always enter that esport industry from the young age. What is
Yeah.
the age to enter into that industry? Is there like a certain entry point?
So now there are full esports and leagues that appeal to schools. So middle schools and high schools are able to be a part of that path to pro environment, that previously only existed for traditional sports, right? So in middle schools, high schools, and colleges and universities around the country, you're going to have NACE and NACEF, right? So NACE is the National Association for Collegiate Esports, so that's going to be at the college level, and then NACEF is the National Association of Scholastic Esports Federation, I believe is the acronym term. So now people can get involved at the overall competitive level at younger and younger ages. And this can lead down a more structured pathway and allow them to be a part of that varsity level experience, making friends, being a part of a structured team and practices that is really instrumental in a young person's life and overall in their growth. And as far as getting involved in competitive esports, that is what has arisen now. Now, depending on what gaming title you might want to be a part of or gain competitively in, that's going to be different depending on the gaming title and whether or not you have a team. But one of the things that's cool about Valorant, Apex, Rocket League is that my organization, we regularly host different competitive tournaments on our own virtual home stadium. So we get people to come in and compete and develop their skills in team-based scenarios so that they're better able to enter this space in more of a structured format, right? So there's a lot more organization to it now versus before. Before, meaning in the early 2000s, when there was like no money in even the prizing money, and you had a bunch of players like crowding 8, 10 people in one hotel room and all crowding and carpooling to the event, right? So it's changed a lot, but that's kind of some of the structure that has allowed for younger and younger people to be a part of the space. And also, there is the competitive side, but also there's the content creation and the streamer side, right? So it, anybody can go in and start making cool videos, live streaming their own play as they go along, and that allows them to develop their skill set and also to develop the skills of branding because they're becoming an influencer or a content creator. They're
Yeah.
developing that branding, leadership, scheduling, time management, and there's a lot of things to be learned from whether you go down the casual, like I'm going to be a content creator in the space, or just like on the professional side, right? So to answer your question, at any age really that you can go. What James, who is our CEO and founder, his daughter, I believe she's like 8 or 7, she like plays Minecraft all the time, right? And
Oh,
she wants to become a streamer like later on, right?
yeah.
So younger and younger.
Yeah, I know. And also, I want to ask you if there are any type of like conferences or, continuing education in terms of that industry where people can get together in person and learn from each other or from their mentors, I would say. Is there something that's going on in the industry right now or maybe planning to be?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up. My organization is going to be hosting a bunch of like esports 101 seminars come in September. And that's going to be like on LinkedIn, so it's going to be free for anybody to be a part of it. But other than that, there's constantly like there's GamesCon, there's TwitchCon, the Esports Awards, RLCS. You can look at a couple different ways. There's the E3s and the TwitchCons and those gaming conventions and tech conventions. Also CES, Consumer Electronics Show. where if hey, let's say if you want to better develop your skill set and at the baseline level of networking, right, and you want to start to develop contacts and associations in this industry, those kinds of conventions are available for anybody to go in and attend, and I still have a couple of, let me see if I still have them. Yeah, I still have like business cards left over from that I bring to these things, right? So as long as you're willing and open, those conventions are out there. And as far as developing your overall skill set, I would say take note of the skill set you already have. And then I would say look out for any, like a lot of professional esports organizations now, oddly enough, are using Indeed, LinkedIn, all these traditional job hunting platforms. And I would go out and just look at those job postings and see, okay, what skills are they looking for? And then you can go on to, just to name one, Google certificates or Google Cloud certificates. And there's a lot of those free certification programs in coding, project management, marketing that you can learn and to better yourself and to increase your overall skill set. Then if you're able to talk the talk and back up all these claims, there's I've seen people go through certificate programs just for the badge, right? Now, and they don't actually like go out and try to like actually learn the material, right? But as long as you are constantly going after your own, the betterment of the self. I talk about that a lot. The optimization of the self or the betterment of the self, whether that's, you know, uh, learning what kind of nutrition works for you or workout, or going in and having an ideated schedule that you've planned out every day to day. And then on the flip side, with your skill set that you bring to the table, right? That is something that I'm really big on. And in esports, and if you wanted to get into this industry and what motivates you is, oh, I need to increase my skill set, I'd recommend you go after the conventions, those bigger events where people are able to network, and then also building your skill set on your own. Right. So as far as esports specific, there's no like esports certificate. I remember there was this one company that offered like an esports certificate or something like that, and they just got torn apart because it was like, first off, it was like a paid thing. It was paid, right?
Oh,
And then also
yeah.
the things you were learning in it were just like baseline level stuff you could learn for free. And it was also just like it's like saying computer certificate. Like, what does that even mean, right?
Right.
It's kind of like that. So I
So
would I
pretty
would
much anybody could enter that industry
yeah.
as long as they're willing to, continue growing and developing their skill set. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll send you, I think I have a graphic somewhere. I'll try to send it to you, but it's like esports needs people in marketing,
Right.
law for contracts negotiation, right? Law, accounting, they need all these things, and it's a growing industry. We've hit like, I think we've already hit 1.5 billion, and we're on track to hit even higher numbers next year. And with a growing industry, you need people of every kind of skill set to learn and want to grow with this, right? I mean, you even look at something, look at traditional sports. There's people of all different levels. There's like the carpenters and people like that build and maintain the live event stages, right? So of all skill sets that you can always join. Now I'm not saying to, okay, esports is the next big thing, go for it. I'm saying find that passion that of something you truly want to go after. And in my case, this is the thing that I really wanted to go after. So
Right. And like you mentioned, you can just start with that and see how your career growth. It could be like just a different direction that you will be finding
exactly.
yourself into, and more opportunities could come your way. But it could be just the beginning or the entry point for you, and to kind of find yourself in the industry and how you can apply your skills, or even diversify of what you're doing from that point
Yeah.
on, and seeing yourself as a creator, as a leader, influencer. So this is something that I think it's new and growing, and not a lot of people know about it. And there is
Yeah.
always good to learn about what's out there, and see if that's something that would be a good fit for you.
I completely agree. Going around and finding things that you're truly passionate about. You can't. Yeah, I'm a big proponent of like you can't know unless you fail a couple times,
Yeah.
and I failed a lot in trying to find my passion. I mentioned like in university, I I couldn't settle on something for the longest, for like 4 or 5 years. I couldn't settle on something. And then if you even take that even further back, I knew people in high school and who knew what going into college exactly what they wanted to be. And going into in a young person's life, like that is tough. Like knowing that there's all these other people that are like, dude, I already have my plan set out. And I don't know if it was the cyclone that I was in, or maybe there's just a lot of motivated, inspired people around me, and I wasn't at that time motivated and inspired. Maybe that's it. But like I was constantly around people that's like, I know what I want to do, and I always had that anxiety or that stress of just like, man, I'm not at the same level. I need to figure this out. And for better or for worse, that kind of led me down to here. So I completely understand that. Yeah.
Definitely. And a lot of people don't know what they want until they kind of like maybe surround themselves with people like you just mentioned, who can inspire them, and then they can introduce them to something that they never
Yes.
knew before. And it's important to keep in mind, because the people that you hang out with, they influence you in some kind of way. There's always
Oh,
like an
completely.
energy exchange that happening. And I always heard the rule, the 5 people you always talk to, you're gonna see yourself being an average of those 5. It just comes
Interesting.
down to who you talk to, who do you listen to on a daily basis. And I think that's important to keep in mind, because this is your life and you want to give yourself the best that you can. And sometimes, maybe you want to like surround yourself with a new crowd, that's people who are in industry that you want to be in, or like a mentor or somebody who can guide you towards that path.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's important for especially young people to kind of like find their own passion.
Yeah, and I believe that one of the best ways to find your own passion is through the pursuit of something positive in your life, right? I have a lot of good friends that I've met either in gaming, from work, or in the gym, and I believe that those three are like very, very positive outlets for finding people that are going to uplift you. I don't really have anybody that I'm like super super good friends with or really good acquaintances with because I met them at like a bar or at them at the club or something like that. So one of the recommendations I have is like in the pursuit of your skills or in your passion, look around to see who else is there and see if you can also make those connections and make those friendships. It doesn't always have to be like, yo, I think we could do a lot of really cool work together. It could just take the approach of I perhaps we could, let's hang out, let's do something more positive. A lot of my habits with my friend groups recently shifted to let's explore new gyms I'm in Pittsburgh, so I'm like, let's explore new gyms around here because the city is getting a lot of money and facelifts and a lot more gyms are coming into the area. So let's go explore these during the daytime as opposed to going to the bars like late at night on the weekends, right? And then that turned into, okay, this has become a greater health and wellness discussion for me. So I'm gonna start making content with this. So and I'm not saying, oh, you need to vlog everything you're doing. I'm just saying like it'll lead to something positive if you consistently pursue positivity in those around you as well.
Yeah, and I feel like once you go to that positive route, you will find yourself being inspired. And then from that point, you take that action when you feel like this is something you want to do.
Hmm.
And again, like we have our own unique gifts and abilities, and we're here to, for a bigger purpose, to serve people around us. But in order for us to tap into that power of what we can do, we have to first establish that connection with our true self, with our
Yeah.
own nature, and knowing what we want in life. Because a lot of times you ask a person, "Well, why are you doing what you do and what do you want?" And they don't know the answer to those
Hmm.
questions. And they feeling lost and stuck in what they're doing. And we have a lot of distraction nowadays with like social media, TV. It pulls you into different direction, and
Yeah.
you don't know what you need to focus on. Like you have to kind of find what's working for you. This is something that you want to do in life, and what would take you to the next level. What are the skills that you need to develop, and kind of focus on that. Like, don't compare yourself to other people. You can learn from others, but again, that you have your own unique journey to go through.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And you can't really find that passion until you fail a few times and discover, what truly works for you. And in the pursuit of that, you're gonna like what is the phrase? Like there's a diamond can't be created without pressure, that kind of thing. Everybody wants to be a diamond, but they just become rhinestones nowadays, like with social media and a lot of this stuff. And in the pursuit of looking like you have it made and everything figured out, a lot of people, end up failing even harder and getting put into like even worse situations, right? So, yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, and also like the failure, again, it's the point of view that we're looking at it. It's not really something bad. Like sometimes we label things like good and bad, but
Yeah.
this is part of the process. It's just your attempt to succeed. That's how I call it usually. It's not a failure. It's just you will take different attempts for you to succeed, but eventually you will if you stay consistent, if you stay committed to the process. If you know what you want, you will get there. It's a matter of your own dedication to the process and how
Yeah.
committed are you? How is that important is for you? But again, if you see that something is not happening right away, it could be just something that redirecting you, or you need to to look at it from a different perspective, or maybe do something else. It's just a way of your attention to bring to a different way of doing this,
Yeah.
or completely different area of going for. So we have to kind of like evaluate it from perspective that something is happening for me in order for me to know where I should go, and not to judge myself, not to be critical to myself, but to, like you said, to better myself, to uplift.
Yeah. No, I agree. And here's the thing. I feel like for the listeners at home, I feel like people are constantly hit with the consistency and hard work and things like that, but they never receive any like real advice. I've heard. I mean, everybody goes down like the motivational video rabbit hole or something like that, and they're just like, okay, I need to get my life in order. But it starts with smaller. So here's the thing. It starts with smaller habits, you know, clean your space. Start off with this. Clean your entire space first, and then create actionable steps of other things that you need to do, right? Whether it's get in shape or pursue, like, you have projects at work that you need to do. Start with those small stretch goals that you have in the next couple of weeks or in the next month, and create actionable steps about how you're going to achieve them. And micromanage if you need to micromanage, like, oh, okay, at 12:05 I'm going to have lunch, but then at 12:15 I'm gonna finish lunch and then I'm gonna start cleaning, and things like that. I work from home, so I'll eat and then I'll clean and then I'll come back. But start with those smaller actionable steps, working towards these smaller goals. And once you start to achieve those goals, then take those stretch goals, keep that same mentality, and start working towards larger goals. I think that's probably a really helpful bit of advice for your listeners, just because, like, I mean, we always hear like the hard work mentality or consistency, and while those do work, some people need like it's theory, and some people need to bring it back to more actionable steps, right? So that's something that I would recommend right off the get-go.
Definitely, and it's better if we are break down to small steps, like you mentioned, because then we should be able to see for ourselves how we achieve those certain small goals, and give ourselves this recognition for those small wins, and that reaffirms our ability of doing that, and it gives us more confidence in doing that. And again, it's just a matter of doing those steps consistently and seeing
Mhm.
for yourselves that you can, because a lot of times we don't have that believe in our own abilities, and
Hmm.
we procrastinate. We find reasons not to start anything because we don't truly believe that we deserve something or we can achieve it,
Yeah.
deep down. So we have to kind of show ourselves with evidence of achieving those small steps that we can.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it's the small steps. What is it? The devil's in the details, that kind of mentality, and you people will look at the end product and not look at the all the small steps and small goals that had to be achieved before that final product. So yeah, I think that's you bring up a great point. Yeah.
And also, like we see again, social media, we're thinking about overnight success. And again, this is something that's shown as a result of a hard work, and we don't know what's been behind the scenes for that
Mhm.
person to come to this point, because usually nobody would show you the dirty and ugly of the process. They would show you the beautiful in the end, and
Yeah.
that's how you always start comparing yourself with that type of picture or whatever you're looking at, and thinking negatively about your situation. But you can't really compare. It's just a different path that that person is on. But what you should look at is the evidence for you that if that person achieved it, so you can too. Again, if you would celebrate that person's success and knowing that you can also do it, nothing really stops you if you want to.
Hmm.
And that would be a different way to kind of fuel that passion in your own.
Yeah. And falling in love with the process as opposed and working towards the end goal instead of beating yourself up over the fact that the end goal hasn't yet been achieved and it's day one. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
like you said, you have to be really enjoying this process. If this is something that you're doing because you have to, maybe you're not in the right, industry or the
Hmm.
right career. You have to really enjoy every single moment of it, knowing that, yeah, of course, you have those big goals and you are going somewhere, but again, the most important part is being present here right now and
Hmm.
enjoying the moment, not living in the past or living in the future, because that's what we usually do. By escaping this present moment, we're either being stuck in the past, being scared of something, or being anxious and thinking about what might have happened in the future,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's just an illusion and it keeps us stuck doing nothing.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and if only we can just focus on what's important right now and take those small steps and know for ourselves that we are going where we need to be. And if something is not working out, it's just a way for us to redirect ourselves, not to be harsh on ourselves, but just think for a moment, why did that happen? Because there's always a reason why, and it's happening for you, not to you. So with
Mm.
that mentality, we need to kind of like redirect ourselves, analyze the situation, and just come stronger out of it. And
Yeah.
I'm so glad that we had that conversation today. For those who would like to connect with you online, how can they find you?
I think easiest way would probably just be through LinkedIn. You can just look up Liam Brown Knights on the search bar and I'll come right up. Also, the link that I provided you, that was one of the larger things that my organization was doing was running the Valorant North America Challenger Series for the game title Valorant from Riot Games. It's one of the larger things that we did, and you can check out how that performed. Other than that, probably check out the Knights socials. That's pretty much just knights.gg is the website, and then you can find all the social media. I do appear in some of our videos, so if you see me, tag me if you can find me. So yeah, LinkedIn, our website, and the socials. That's the best way to get into contact with me. And feel free to shoot me a LinkedIn message or connection request. I always love hearing from all of you, and I'd love to set you guys up for success. And if we can work together later on, I'd love to.
Yes. And as a closing, what would be the thought for today for our listeners that you would provide?
Baby steps. It's success takes baby steps. Whether you're achieving that would and I would just take a notepad, write down what you need to do for that day, and make sure that's completed. And it starts with the smaller things. Okay, your journey to success is always going to take that first step. Um, so I would say baby steps. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and wisdom, and I hope you enjoy your day.
Awesome. Thank you, Anna. Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned!